What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. Wow. Huge news. Disney reportedly now canceling Woke Disasters, Eternals 2, Captain Marvel 3. Canceled. No more risks. After Captain Marvel tanked so bad that it canceled all the rest of the films in development at Disney. This is huge. Now, they also canceled Ant-Man 4, which I don't know. I stopped caring about Ant-Man after the first one. The first one was fine. I like the character. I like Paul Rudd, even though Paul Rudd just plays Paul Rudd, just like Ryan Reynolds plays Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, but it works for them. I know that Ant-Man wasn't making very much money. The last one also was a flop, I believe. So this is, pretty massive. MCU report. No Eternals 2, Captain Marvel 3, or Ant-Man 4. By the way, also, She-Hulk looks like it's officially canceled. You see this with Daniel RPK, who's an insider, saying Eternals 2 now on hold, Captain Marvel 3 not happening, Tatiana Maslany saying She-Hulk will not continue. I definitely think Disney is listening to bigots and cutting down on representation under the guise of removing messages, quality over quantity. Well, here's the reality. If you wanted more representation, which I will submit that there's nothing inherently wrong with it. The problem is Disney wants to shortcut everything and doesn't want to actually put together a good movie to lift up that representation. She-Hulk could have been a great show if it had stayed like a legal comedy, legal dramedy kind of thing. I think it could have been great. But instead, they thought, well, let's make her twerk. That'll get a lot of likes and retweets. And it did. It caused a lot of buzz. It was a lot of, conversation. But as we always say, that doesn't actually turn into viewership. If you wanted to have a strong, independent woman superhero, maybe don't make her a man. Maybe make her character still female. Part of the biggest problem that Disney has with strong, independent women who don't need no man characters is they're just men. Because they think that women can't be feminine, that femininity is weakness, or that it's degrading to make female characters who wear dresses, things of that nature. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, there's nobody ever complained about Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, right? Nobody was whining about that. Sure, she took a back seat in the heavy action scenes, and that's fine because that's believable. She didn't have a superpower, and the idea that they're saying, oh, it's about diversity. No, it's about there's no quality. There is no quality in it. And you can see it isn't all of them, but a good representation of replacement theory in practice. If they want to create good stories, how about just making new great characters rather than race swapping to justify checking some POC boxes? Just a thought. And of course, we see this very popular infographic in which all these characters get race swapped. And that's true. You can't shortcut this. For years, Hollywood has tried to shortcut this by just cram a woman in it and make it gay, just like South Park said. Kathleen Kennedy, right? Kathleen Kennedy says, hey, we need more representation. Well, we don't have time to write good stories. We don't want to write good stories. We can't write good stories. All we've done is hired woke, purple-haired, blue-haired land whales who identify as, pan-saltine, and they can't do anything. These writers can't do anything. We can't generate anything. It's too early to move over completely to AI. So they do this. They just cram a woman in, make her gay, and nobody cares about the movies. And they fail. So if you want to blame, again, we've already shifted now to blaming the chuds, blaming the bigots. Bro, make a good movie and dudes will go see it. Or make a movie for women that women want to see. The biggest problem in the MCU with their female-led movies and shows is that they blew ass. They sucked. Women didn't like them, and men didn't like them. Things that women like, I don't know. How about the Barbie movie that made $1 billion? Was that so hard? Was that so hard? Now, the movie was, was it cringy? I don't know. It's not for me. The Barbie movie was not for me. And that's okay. Women can have their movies. And guess what? They came out to the theater and they saw it. But when you take a woman, to be honest, superhero films aren't women's movies. Sorry, not sorry. Does that mean that women can't like them or shouldn't like them? No, that's not what I mean. Men like action flicks. Men like things exploding. Yes, some women do. Okay? I know they're in my audience. I know there are female fans of the MCU. But guess what? They liked the films the way they were. They didn't have to pander to women for Infinity War Endgame, did they? They didn't have to pander to women to get people to go see Spider-Man. Right? Granted, Spider-Man's gotten a little, I don't know. It's definitely got a lot of the keynote box checking, but still, people love Spider-Man. It's still a good movie. It's still a good series. Disney had previously been thought to be scaling back the MCU, which had recently become overloaded with underperforming films in theaters and vastly expensive shows on Disney+. Now we may be hearing of what that looks like. Insider Daniel Rickman is reporting that Eternals 2 is no longer in development, and other projects like the third Captain Marvel movie or fourth Ant-Man will not be pursued. If you've been tracking Marvel's hit and misses, these three specifically may not come as a huge shock, as something Marvel does not want to invest in from here on out. All perform poorly, relatively speaking, among critics and at the box office. The last three films in question: Eternals, 47% Rotten Tomatoes, $402 million worldwide. Now, $400 million is a lot of dollars. It's just not all the dollars. And they spent more than that or close to that on the film and marketing. If they made that movie for even $100 million, I'd say that's pretty good. Ant-Man and the Wasp, 46% critic rating, $476 million. Again, a fine movie, a fine take if you don't spend $400 million. The Marvels, 62% rotten, $206 million worldwide. They didn't even make back their production budget. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars on the Marvels. We all said it would happen. That is an $800 million drop between movies. The first Captain Marvel made $1 billion. $1 billion. The second Captain Marvel movie made $200 million. That's an 80% drop in revenue. 80%. Do you think it's because people don't like superheroes anymore? No. The Rippaverse just made $1 million on its own. People like superheroes. They just like good stories. I think The Marvels was probably the movie alarm bell that set all this off, while the $200 million Secret Invasion was probably the show alarm instead. The Secret Invasion was also a disaster. As much as I think both the Eternals and the Marvels were underrated given their performance, I can understand why sequels will not be pursued. However, I don't think it's wise for Marvel just to ditch Brie Larson's Captain Marvel and Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan. Should be given more to do, not less, given how great she is in the role. And again, we all know I love Brie Larson. If I ever find myself single, she would be my first choice. I'd obviously be her first choice. But I have, Iman Vellani as Kamala Khan. That, it's for teeny boppers. It's for teen girls. That's who that character's for. It's not for me. I'm not a Muslim looking for representation. I'm not a Muslim looking to see myself in movies or TV shows. So it's not for me, right? That's what they said, right? Oh, we're going to bring Iman Vellani's Kamala Khan because Muslims need superheroes. Okay, well, they didn't see the movie. There's like 1 billion Muslims worldwide. None of them went and saw the Marvels. None of them needed to see themselves in superheroes. In superhero films, did they? Just a fun fact. women didn't need to see themselves either because they didn't go see the Marvels either. They told us it wasn't for men. So we didn't go. So that's where we were. We were watching Oppenheimer. This on top of obviously She-Hulk news being canceled. I suppose they can show up as Avengers, I suppose, but Eternals is probably going to have to remain a what could have been situation. I would not expect to see them again. It's also important to consider what era Marvel's moving into. They're about to kick off several extremely important properties from here, namely the Fantastic Four. I don't think the Fantastic Four is important. Sorry. I know you might like it. I'm not saying it's bad or dumb or anything like that. I'm just saying the Fantastic Four is not the X-Men. You know, the X-Men. That's kind of a big deal. Spider-Man, Captain America. These are kind of big deals. But, you know, Fantastic Four, meh. Although, you know, I will say this, around the same era, when, you know, X-Men 97 was out, you know, everyone loved X-Men. I think there was a Fantastic Four cartoon out too, right? I know I had the action figures. Anyway, we've seen this to some extent on Disney Plus, but perhaps not quite the same lengths yet. She-Hulk does not appear to be getting a second season, according to its star. They blew their budget on a pricey but still bad-looking effects. Loki appears to be over. There will certainly not be a Secret Invasion season 2. Disney will have a few questionable shows coming up, like the idea that people will tune into Agatha, a story far away from mainstream MCU territory, based on the villain from WandaVision. That's going to flop. You know, Agatha's not going to do good. The thing is, it could if it was a good show, if it was written well. But it won't be. I think we all know that. We know it's going to be trash. That's what Disney does. It's not that we don't want whammon. We want good shows, good movies, good programs, good writing. Likeable actors and actresses, because it matters. If you're some douche nozzle off screen, I'm not giving you my money. People have stood up and said this now. People have had enough. We don't want some biatch who hates men and that, you know, telling me that I have to give her my money to show I'm not sexist. No, not doing it. So actors bear some responsibility too. Now, the actress that plays Agatha, don't even know her name. But I can tell you this, if she's got some scred about men or white people, I'm not watching her show. And I know I'm not alone. This is Disney learning the hard way when they could have just kept that thing flowing and just kept putting out great movies. This is getting woke and going broke. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please do like or follow or subscribe down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.